Calculator skills, this time with the TI Nspire calculator. So what we're going to try here is to get you ready so that you can do most everything with that calculator that you need to be able to do. Let's make sure we got a pen. All right, so we're going to start X and Y intercepts. Now I have an assumption. My assumption is that a person knows that to find an X intercept, they're going to take an equation and algebraically set Y equal to 0 and solve. And to find a Y-intercept, we're going to take X and set it equal to 0 and solve, and that'll give us the places that the function hits either the X-axis or the Y-axis, depending on which one we're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our TI Nspire and we're going to use this equation. We're going to graph this equation and figure out where it has X and Y intercepts. So I'm going to open up my calculator. Here's my calculator. I am actually looking, if I went back to my home screen, your home looks like this. So what I want to do is I want to go into the fastest way is go into the scratch pad. So hit this button right here. And if you are looking at, you'll notice that I'm looking at the graphing part of the scratch pad. You hit the scratch pad a second time, you're looking at the text part of the scratch pad. We'll use that in a second. So here's the graphing part of the scratch pad. And what we're going to do is we want to enter this equation. So I'm going to hit the tab key to get the equation entry. So f1 of x is going to be that same equation. So x raised to the third power, get yourself out of the exponent, I mess that up every time, minus 4x, and let's hit enter, and it'll graph it. Now we've got a nice little blue equation, and it tells me that f1 of x is that x cubed minus 4x that I wanted. Now I can see 3x intercepts. It appears from this graph. Oh, one thing to think about, make sure everybody's looking at the same window. So I hit the menu button, window zoom is number 4, and let's hit zoom standard so everybody sees the same window that I do. -10 to 10 for x's, -6.43 to 6.43 for y's. Everybody's looking at the same thing. So 3x intercepts. Here's how I go to find them, or a fast way to go find them. Let's start. We're going to take our equation, and we're going to hit menu and then analyze the graph. Another word for an x-intercept is a 0 of the function. So let's choose 0. And then I'm going to use my touchpad to move this hand around so that my lower bound is to the left of what I'm looking for, and hit enter. And then it's going to ask me for the upper bound, and again I'm going to use my, I could move it as far to the right as I want. A fast way to do this, let's move it to there, and you'll notice it says where the 0 is, and it's already giving me the equation. Now if that's a little too busy or hard for you to see, you could move your cursor until you see a hand like this, and now use the control button. And the center of the mouse pad is a closed hand. If I hit that, I now close that thing, and I can now move it over here off to the side and hit enter to drop it off. If I want to find the one on the, let's say I want to find the one on the far right. The middle one's at the origin, and I'll prove that to you in a second. But the one on the far right, menu, analyze this graph. Let's choose 0 again, and my left bound looks like right there's a safe place. Enter. My right bound looks like there. Looks like it's going to be at the point 20. Again, let's take this thing and let's grab it and let's move it. Let's move it down here so it's out of the way. Hit enter. So there's 2 of them to find my 2 x-intercepts. Now, if I want to find the third one, it's going to be at the origin. And what I wanted to also show you is how to find a y-intercept. So the fastest way to do that I've found is you hit the scratch pad button again, and now I'm in the text entry. And what we want to do in order to find a y-intercept, as I already said, is we're going to set the x value equal to 0 and evaluate the function. So the fastest way to do that is to tell the calculator to do f1, and notice how it just made it bold because there's already an f1 that's entered in the calculator, parentheses, we'd like to evaluate that at x equals 0. So in function notation, this is effectively us doing f of 0. If I do f of 0, it's going to tell me that the y-intercept of that graph is 0. And again, going back to look at the graph, that just proved that this third x-intercept is at the origin at 0, 0. So there's x-intercepts and y-intercepts. The other thing that we got to be able to do with this graph is we got to be able to deal with the system of equations. So to deal with the system of equations, what we're going to do, we've already gone through and we've already gotten y by itself in both of these equations. We did that previously. So this is going to be my first equation. This is going to be my second equation. I'll denote them as y1 and y2. So now I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to enter them. So fast way to do this, tab key. Notice there's my f2. If you hit the up arrow, it'll get me back to f1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this equation. And there's kind of an interesting little bonus that we're going to get along the way here. I'm going to change this. This is supposed to be x squared minus 3, and hit enter. Now this is kind of a cool little bonus feature. Since I already had these 2 points already placed on the graph, and I changed the equation, it kept those 2 points. And this is kind of another a neat little phenomenon. If I mouse over this x-intercept, that's negative 1.73 because I picked a new equation, and I hit enter, what it'll do is it'll highlight it, and if I now hit the plus arrow, it'll add more decimal places. Because 1.73 I was thinking was probably an estimate. So to do it again, if I just mouse over the 1.73 and I hit the plus button, it'll give me more decimal places because I'm talking about a value that it probably rounded to 2 decimal places in that case. Anyway, back to the problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to find the equation. I'm actually going to delete these points out of here because we don't need them for our purposes. So let's highlight this one, hit enter, hit delete. So that point is gone. So now what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for where it intersects with this other graph. So I need to hit the tab button to get my equation entry. Here I am, F2. Again, up arrow, there's F1. Down arrow, there's F2 and F3 and so on. We care about F2. So that's supposed to be y equals x minus 1. Hit enter. Now I got an orange graph that's F2. I see 2 intersection points between those graphs. Fastest way to find them, menu button, analyze the graph again, and this time let's choose number 4, which is intersection. And here we are, lower bound again. Well, what's our lower bound going to be? We want it to be something to the left of the points we're trying to find. Upper bound, well, let's see. There's one of my intersection points at -1, -2. Let's see what happens if I go past it. It's only going to give me one at a time. So I hit enter, and again, I can go grab the text to that point, hand closed in the middle, and move it off to the side if I wish, just because it takes it away from the picture. Hit enter. Now if I want to go find the other intersection point, menu, analyze graph, intersection, lower bound, let's keep it further over this time, upper bound, intersection looks like that one's going to be at the point 2,1. So at the point -1, -2, and the point 2,1 are where we're going to solve that system of equations.